Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kadash, and a double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Brothers, especially my brothers, I want to make sure I'm concise with my words and I jump right into this lesson here. And as I mentioned, I want to be spot on with how I recap this. So going straight forward, getting straight to the point, brothers, what I've learned, what I come to find out is that they called it blowing your knee out. So long story short, my wife had an accident and she tore her ACL, her MCL, her lateral meniscus, and I think it's a medial meniscus too as well, right? And my wife is going to need surgery to repair all of this. For the last 3 weeks, there's been a huge adjustment in my life as far as, my responsibilities have basically doubled, brothers. My responsibilities are basically tripled, if you will. There's a lot on my plate, right? So I said, hey, let me use this opportunity to maybe fortify a brother, or fortify, a sister, if you will, because as Peter says, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but I know in Peter it says, know that your brothers around the world are experiencing the same trials. Maybe there's a brother that might be listening to this, maybe his wife may be paralyzed from the waist down, or maybe being in an accident or what have you. But nevertheless, I want to get right into it, brothers, because I'm learning a lot in over the past 3 weeks in my experience. So the first scripture I want to make sure I bring out is, bear with me here, brothers. I got various scriptures pulled up, but Ephesians chapter 5, and I'm gonna begin at verse 25, and it reads, Husbands, love your wives just as Yahweh Shai loved the church and gave himself for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, right? And to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies, right? He who loves his wife loves himself. Verse 29, after all, no one ever hated his own body, but they feed it and care for their body, just as Yahweh Shai does the church, right? For we are members of his body. Brother, I'm going to pause right there, right? I'm going to explain something to you. This has been a humbling experience, to go from, let me slide over. I got a couple photos here for you, brothers. To go from your wife being in this condition, where she's up, she's running around, she's mobile, she's taking care of various affairs, she has her own little, group of friends, personal life, or what have you. There's the kids, then there's time with me, and there's certain errands and things that she takes care of the household function that I don't have to do. But to go from that phase of life to go to this phase of life where your beloved wife is in a wheelchair, she's on crutches, you're having to move her around, you're having to help her get to the restroom, change her clothes, you're having to cook her food, do her laundry, brothers. That when I read verse 28, is settled with me, right? Verse 28, in the same way, husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. Something that I'm thinking about is, I think about this daily, brothers. What if it was me in this situation, right? So throughout the course of this situation, I know this to be true, and I'm learning it every day. Hey, I got to treat her as if it was me in this wheelchair. I got to be patient with her as if it was me on those crutches, crutching around, moving about, needing someone to cook all your meals, okay? I got to treat her as if it was me. As the scripture goes on to say, after all, no one ever hated his own body, but feed it and care for it, right? Helping her in the bathroom, brothers, right? It's been the point I'm trying to drive home here, brothers. This has been a huge major transition for me, right? And something that I keep in my mind is that the angels are watching the entire time. Tell you, the Most High, man, he knows, how to make those fruits of the Spirit grow in you. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, meekness. You got to think about it from this angle. How humbling it is for her too to be in that position. We got to remember something, brothers. The scripture says, the greatest among you shall be a what? A servant, right? Okay? Keep that in your mind as you listen to this message. We got to keep that in mind. We are servants. Okay? Let me go back. Let me go to the next scripture that I have for you, brothers, right? 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. And it says, likewise, husband, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. When you look at this picture that I switched over to, that's my wife's reality right now. Yeah, of course she's not rocking a shirt that says stronger, but that's both of our mentality, is we're going to be stronger on the other end of this, right? Because like the Most High, and we know the Most High did it, because like the Most High says, he wounds and he heals. Does it not? Right? But let me go back to Peter, right? I'm living with my wife in an understanding way, knowing that she's at a disadvantage now, right? Right? Knowing that she's the one that needs to be the center of attention. Not necessarily I'm coveting my woman, but I got to man the hell up and do what I need to do, right? It's not a time for me to abandon my wife, right? Because the scripture says, right? It says it in Matthew 5:32. But I say unto you that anyone who divorces his wife, except on the grounds of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Because even though, while she's going through this phase, right, while she's dealing with this pain, the ailments, right, she's still my wife. I can't divorce her. Oh damn, man, I can't have sex now, right? It's not about that, It's about you developing as a man, you growing in manhood. Okay. Who knows, brothers? I'm just being transparent with you, brothers. I might not, Lord willing, he showed me some mercy after my wife get on the road to recovery, But Lord willing, who knows? I might not, have any relations with my wife for some time. Who knows? I don't know, brothers. But I hope you brothers in that regard, keep me in your prayers, not only for my wife's recovery, but also for us reconnecting too as well. Just a little humor there. But nevertheless, brothers, let's move on from there, right? Next scripture, 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2. Therefore, an overseer must be above reproach. Aren't all us who are in the wisdom, knowledge, and the truth overseers? Those of us who are men and preach this knowledge, this truth, and this wisdom to the house of Israel. We're overseers. Must be a husband of one wife, sober-minded, self-controlled, respectful, hospitable, and able to teach. One word I want to make sure I hone in on there is respect. Hold on, let me come out of that. Hospitable. I want to look that up for this lesson. Hospitable. Friendly and welcoming to strangers or guests. Right? This is how, brothers, if you find yourself in this particular situation, how you ought to treat your wife. You should be friendly, welcoming. Treat her like a guest, right? Right? Okay? Sociable, right? Amicable means to be friendly, gracious to the woman, okay? Obliging, right? Let's go into that word obliging. Willing to do a service or a kindness, helpful. Let's come out of that, right? Well disposed. Let's look at that one. Having a positive, sympathetic, or friendly attitude towards someone or something, okay? Because you got to remember, the person that you're taking care of, they might feel a little bit of shame. They might feel a little bit of embarrassment. man, I'm hurt. I'm at a disadvantage. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm on crutches. I gotta have somebody help me to do everything. Something that I learned was this, brothers, is that something happens to an individual psychologically when they lose their independence and they're depending upon someone to help take care of them. Okay? Okay? You got to keep that in mind, brothers. It's just a major transition in life, brothers. Okay? I want to make sure that I drive home that point. Let me bring out another point, right? That you just can't lead a woman. You just can't lead a woman because something, a tragedy might happen to her, you know? Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and holds fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Remember, brothers, remember, you know, you and your wife are one. Y'all are one flesh, no matter what happens to you, right? I mean, in regards to what happens to you in this life, in regards to an accident, a tragedy that might not result in death, it might just result in the Most High, you know, wounding you, right? To refine an aspect of your personality, or to force you to grow spiritually. Okay? And let me wrap up with this, brothers. Luke chapter 16, verse 18. Again, you know, and it reads, everyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery. The reason why I'm harping on that point is I don't know how this is going to turn out for me and my wife, as far as, you know, recovery, as far as, you know, her getting back to herself. Something I got to keep in my mind is that I cannot divorce this woman, right? I got to be there to support her. No, she's not my God. Of course, I'm going to be praying to Yahweh Shai that He heals her, right? That she has, that she goes through recovery well, right? That she heals correctly, right? That we don't have any setbacks, okay? But the entire time, brothers, in my mind, I'm thinking this is my reality here, okay? Let me go over to that other photo I have for you, brothers. This is my reality too as well. All right? So I just want to share this with you, brothers, right? Yep, that's my reality. Like I said, brothers, my wife was like this, up, moving around, you know, running errands, doing her thing. But right now, let me go back to that other photo. This is my reality, brothers, and it may be yours, or and vice versa. But keep in mind, right? Keep in mind, brothers, the Most High, He wounds and He heals. He's doing these things in our lives to refine us as men, to refine us as leaders. Okay? Shalom.